I'm sorry about that.
It's fine. No problem at all. Okay, so I just have one or two more questions, and so one was I wanted to ask you about. So you started in 1960.
Yes.
Wonder what sort of changes you saw take place at Hanford, either in technology or in what was being done.
Oh, in the there've been lots of advances since I started. Certainly, computers, GPS, DNA analysis, all these things advanced field research. DNA is very useful now in plant taxonomy. We have a recent case about the white bluff bladderpod. Perhaps you know about the white bluff bladderpod, an endangered species. Argument whether it's a real species in danger or whether it's just a variety of a more common species of bladderpod. So I think probably the Endangered Species Act has a great deal to do with the desire of people to protect rare endangered species, and certainly the Arid Land Ecology Reserve does that very well. It preserves examples of native vegetation and the impacts that people have had on the natural environment, particularly Native American people, and their view of the environment is much different than the people that want to use the environment. So all these technological advances have helped answer these questions.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, at some point, the mission at Hanford shifted to cleanup from production. Did that start happening while you were working at Hanford? And if so, how did that impact what you were doing, or did it?
Well, Hanford has a long history of recognizing that particularly the production reactors were releasing radionuclides into the river and to the ground, and there was a great deal of concern of whether these radionuclides and associated toxic metals really had an impact on the river and the biota that use the river. Over the years, the number of Canada geese that nest on the islands have been well documented. During the years of reactor operations, geese populations increased, populations of bald eagles increased, populations of deer decreased, populations of quail increased, even though with the closure of the reactors, some animals have not increased. When you got people there was no hunting, there was no grazing, there was no farming, but some of the animals continued to go down. Two of these, one was the sage grouse, another one was the sage sparrow. Now these animals, the birds, depend upon sagebrush. Sage grouse eat sagebrush. Sage sparrows, they nest in sagebrush. Although you can destroy sagebrush by plowing or burning, burning has always been a part of the shrub steppe. It always takes out the shrubs In time, the shrubs comes back, it burns, the shrubs disappear, and if the area is very large, the amount of fire is very small, so that there are substantial populations of sage sparrows and sage grouse that, as the sagebrush returns by itself, they move back. Got down to the point where you have a small amount of sagebrush and it burns. It takes years to come back. And even though at Hanford it wasn't destroyed by farming anymore, fires have been a tremendous impact. So the number of acres of mature sagebrush today is very small. Not because it's been plowed, but simply because we had a lot of wildfires. And the sage grouse disappeared in 1960. The sage sparrow is nearly there now. So the sage grouse is now up for consideration to be an endangered species. It might be a good idea to restore sagebrush to Hanford, or sage grouse to Hanford, by planting sagebrush.
So, I guess one last question then. In your you're studying the ecology of the area here. What was the sort of the most significant impact of the Hanford site on the ecology of the area?
Oh. Well, land use on the Hanford site, it's been different. It's different. There's no place else in Washington that ever supported plutonium production. It's the only place where productive land has ever been stopped agriculturally. I think it's important just for us to keep watching and monitoring and reporting this as time goes by. I think that's the future of it. It'll be cleaned up, but we got to decide what to do next. And in my opinion, I think probably that if we were really interested in saving sage grouse, for example, on the Hanford side, that the best use would be a commercial nuclear power plant, occupy a very small area, develop the rest of the land back to habitat suitable for sage sparrows and sage grouse, and use it for recreational purposes. I don't think that the public is going to go for farming or things like that. So a combination of industrial facilities with wide areas of natural habitat would be the most likely use.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to discuss, or anything I haven't asked you about?
I think I'm pretty well exhausted.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming in today
I certainly
and sharing
appreciate your
experiences.
your help here.
Thank you very much.